Hi, this is Kim. I'm going to read to you from the Urantia book. First, I'm going to read to you a little bit from Andrew Harvey, Light the Flame. This is from Sohrawardi, who was a Persian philosopher, 12th century. So this was at the height of the Islamic Golden Age. And um, this person was influenced by Avicenna and had, I guess he departed from the philosophy of Avicenna in some ways, and he taught about creation as being reflective of the light, that one divine light. So the light that comes from God is manifest in all creation, and that includes human creation. So but because and it's mixed. If it was only pure light, it would not have any need of manifestation, right? It wouldn't be, there wouldn't be anything to manifest because it would be just pure light. So because we mixed in, God mixed in the yin and the yang, and and this goes back. We'll be looking at this when I get into the foreword. This part of when we start the book over, and but how God created the world here. But I really like that philosophy, because everything, even though it contains divine light, divine energy, in order to manifest, it needs a portion of non-light. Otherwise, there'd be nothing to discern it from other things, other creation, other creative energy. So, okay, here we go. You who are robed in the most brilliant lights, show yourself to me in the most beautiful of epiphanies. Show me your dazzling face. Be for me the mediator. Lift the heavy veils of darkness from my heart. Beautiful, beautiful. Here again, characteristic of Sohrawardi, he's talking about in the most brilliant lights. So lift from me the veils of darkness and let me be the light. Let me be your light. Very wonderful. Okay. All right, let's go forward here. Paper 195, Part 3, Under the Roman Empire. So here the development of the Christian faith as it was embraced by Rome. And we talked about last time that Romans characteristically had a difficult time with understanding their individual relationship with God. Everything was mediated by the state. So it was very, even though it was a empire with a hierarchical, system and class divisions and everything, the attitude of loyalty, devotion to the state was in a sense, very communistic, socialistic. See, so these things, what we see, it's not just one thing or the other. It's everything is infused with context. Even though we've got this very politically complex, system, we have this element of socialism infused in there. I think that's very interesting. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and read to you. Under the Roman Empire, after the consolidation of Roman political rule and after the dissemination of Christianity, the Christians found themselves with one God, a great religious concept, but without empire. The Greco-Romans found themselves with a great empire, but without a God to serve as a suitable religious concept for empire worship and spiritual unification. So here they're the Greco-Romans here had this great empire. They wanted to use God as a medium to worship their empire, right? That's what I'm reading here. They don't have a God to serve as the suitable religious concept for empire worship and spiritual unification. The Christians accepted the empire. The empire adopted Christianity. So it was kind of a trade-off and mutually beneficial. The Roman provided a unity of political rule. The Greek, a unity of culture and learning. Christianity, a unity of religious thought and practice. Rome overcame the tradition of nationalism by imperial universalism, and for the first time in history made it possible for different races and nations, at least nominally, to accept one religion. Christianity came into favor in Rome at a time when there was great contention between the vigorous teachings of the Stoics and the salvation promises of the mystery cults. Christianity came with refreshing comfort and liberating power to a spiritually hungry people whose language had no word for unselfishness. So, no word for unselfishness. That's interesting. They point that out because it's a self-defined. That's kind of like our culture today again. So I'm wondering if the cure that they experienced in Rome and the benefit there would be available to us today. The same cure maybe applies. Because we live in a very self-centered culture. Wow. Yeah. Me. That which gave greatest power to Christianity was the way its believers lived lives of service, and even the way they died for their faith during the earlier times of drastic persecution. Yep, the unselfish example was the way its believers lived lives of service to each other. So that's what amazed and attracted many of the Romans, because they did that. That was, yeah. My brother has my back. That is so comforting, and I'll have your back, brother. Think of the comfort that's available there if you can believe in that, if you can put your faith in that. But very few people have that today. Few people believe that today. And if they do, it's born out of something that we're together, we're fending off the evil, the bad people over there, and that's not healthy either. That's violent, Okay, but they died for their faith. They did, yeah. The teaching regarding Christ's love for children soon put an end to the widespread practice of exposing children to death when they were not wanted, particularly girl babies. Yeah. Yep. I'm glad I'm a girl. I'm glad. The early plan of Christian worship was largely taken over from the Jewish synagogue, modified by the Mithraic ritual, right? The body and blood of Jesus. I think that's traced to the Mithras cult and the Last Supper. Later on, much pagan pageantry was added. The backbone of the early Christian church consisted of Christianized Greek proselytes to Judaism. Okay. Proselytes. I should know what that means. I kind of know what it means. Okay. The early Christianized Greek proselytes. Hold on a second. Proselyte is a person who has converted from one option, religion, or party to another. So it's a convert. So these are the backbone of the early church consisted of Greek converts to the Christian sect of Judaism. Okay? But at that time, that was before the split between Christianity and Judaism. Okay. The 2nd century after Christ was the best time in all the world's history for a good religion to make progress in the Western world. During the 1st century, Christianity had prepared itself by struggle and compromise to take root and rapidly spread. Christianity adopted the emperor, Constantine, I think. Yep. He adopted Christianity. This was a great age for the spread of a new religion. There was religious liberty, travel was universal, and thought was untrammeled. The spiritual impetus of nominally accepting Hellenized Christianity came to Rome too late to prevent the well-started moral decline or to compensate for the already well-established and increasing racial deterioration. This new religion was a cultural necessity for imperial Rome, and it was exceedingly unfortunate that it did not come as a means of spiritual salvation in a larger sense. Okay, so Rome, at the time Christianity was brought to Rome, it came too late to save Rome from demise because the corruption had already set in to the government. Remember, at this time, it had transformed from the republic to the empire. That had already happened. Yeah. With Julius Caesar. So I think at the time of Jesus's death, there was Caesar Augustus was emperor. I think I should look this stuff up. Yeah. So Julius Caesar was assassinated in 44 BC. 44 BC. So at that time, 44 years before Jesus, I don't know if Augustus, the successor, Julius Caesar's nephew Octavius Augustus was in power then, but that had already made the transition, some 70 years before Jesus' death into an empire from a republic. So that was already underway. Maybe if Jesus would come 100 years earlier, maybe that would have changed the course of a lot of history. But that's interesting to speculate, but I guess it's beside the point. Let's keep going. Even a good religion could not save a great empire from the sure results of lack of individual participation in the affairs of government. from overmuch paternalism, overtaxation, and gross collection abuses, unbalanced trade with the Levant, which drained away the gold, amusement madness. Amusement madness. Oh, wow, we've got that. Amusement madness, Roman standardization, the degradation of woman. Yep, that's a problem. Slavery and race decadence. Yes. Physical plagues and a state church which became institutionalized nearly to the point of spiritual barrenness. Okay, I'm interested to what we mean by increasing racial deterioration in the first paragraph or the last paragraph I read. And here, race decadence. Okay, so that I'm taking that to mean just imposing an attitude of superiority or inferiority on darker skinned people. That was going on. I think that was going on a long time. So I'm going to take it to mean that. I'm going to, in advance, I'm going to look at the other interpretation of increasing racial deterioration is meaning, watering down or impurifying the pure races or whatever. And we'll probably need to confront those attitudes. So I'm going to do it here. And I think those attitudes are wrong. I don't think that's what it means. It could mean it could mean deterioration of, the book does refer to in some places deterioration of genetic strains, less, there are better genetic material, but I don't think that's classified as according to race. Okay, I'm not doing that. So, and anybody who does that, who thinks of it that way, okay, I'm coming up against you right now. Okay. All right. I feel really it's necessary to confront that when I find that here. All right. Anyway, I'm going to keep going. Conditions, however, were not so bad at Alexandria. The early schools continued to hold much of Jesus' teachings free from compromise. Pantaenus taught Clement. Pantaenus taught Clement and then went on to follow Nathanael in proclaiming Christ in India. While some of the ideals of Jesus were sacrificed in the building of Christianity, it should in all fairness be recorded that by the end of the 2nd century, practically all the great minds of the Greco-Roman world had become Christian. The triumph was approaching completion. Okay, so, and we talked about that last time here, that some of the main ideals of Jesus were sacrificed, the brotherhood of man, things like that, which is pretty significant, but that led to the faster spread of the kingdom. And like we said, these things have to be rectified. And that's the time we're living in now. Okay, and this Roman Empire lasted sufficiently long to ensure the survival of Christianity even after the empire collapsed. But we have often conjectured what would have happened in Rome and in the world if it had been the gospel of the kingdom which had been accepted in the place of Greek Christianity. So the angels are going here. What would have happened if they would have stuck with the original message? And there's a reason for why things turn out. I know my angels. I think that's a very worthwhile question, and but I can only assume that um, maybe it wouldn't have worked out as well. Maybe people weren't ready to accept people of other religions and races as their brothers, especially people in higher places of authority who are in the position to im- um, propagate those messages, okay, because they become threatened, their power becomes threatened when they're um when you say that other people are equal to other people of other skin colors are equal to them and stuff like this, and they don't like that. And so I can see how maybe because of the low nature of human uh, thought, philosophy, whatever, that some of that compromise was necessary. But of course, I don't know, and there might be some space-time continuum out there where it was all it came out better. But anyway, I have to leave it there. So I guess I'm getting a little, yeah, okay. But it's always interesting to speculate, and so we do that. Okay, well, I'm gonna go now. Okay, bye. Thank you.